of what's happening with the Delhi gang rape victim. The 23-year-old victim in Delhi continues to fight on. Doctors at the Safdarjung Hospital treating her say her condition thankfully is stable at this time. She's conscious and alert after undergoing a major surgery yesterday.
In fact, doctors have also called her a real fighter, saying her vital parameters are within acceptable limits now. But what is a cause of worry is the possibility, the impending possibility of an infection, with her platelet levels dipping even now. What is shocking is that they say they've never seen this extent of injury suffered by any other girl in the past.
She will have to depend upon the TPN, what we call it as, that is total parenteral nutrition. Total parenteral nutrition, which means that is providing nutrients through the intravenous route.
In my last 30 years of experience as a surgeon, I am yet to see such grave injury to the intestines in a case of a sexual assault.
Meanwhile, sources are telling us that the victim, who's unable to communicate verbally because she's got a tube in her mouth, has scribbled her feelings for her family to read, and these are only essential communications. We learn she has asked her mother whether the accused in the case have been arrested. Home Minister Sushil Kumar Shinde has assured the country and her family that justice will be delivered to the victim and her family, and it won't be a forgotten case.
हम जितना भी स्ट्रिक्ट रहेंगे उतना स्ट्रिक्ट रहेंगे और ज्यादा इसमें स्ट्रिक्ट रहेंगे। मैंने बता दी थी कि मेरी खुद की 3 लड़कियां हैं, तो इससे और ज्यादा क्या चाहिए। तो जैसे मेरे भी लड़की पर हो सकता है कल, तो इसके लिए डिटेरेंट हम रहेंगे। मैंने हाउस में भी बोला है, और हम सरकार की ओर से और हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी बोला है, हम बहुत इस पर कड़क कार्रवाई करते हैं।
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
हमारी सरकार ने पुलिस कमिश्नर और उनके लोगों को भी सुना, और जितने एनजीओस, हर किस्म के एनजीओस थे, कॉरपोरेट सेक्टर से फिकी के किदवाई साहब भी थी, यूनिवर्सिटी के वाइस चांसलर दिनेश सिंह जी भी थे। तो एक बहुत अच्छा, इंदिरा जयसिंह लॉयर्स भी थी, मीडिया के लोग भी थे, कुछ लड़कियां थी, सब लोग थे, हमारा डीसीडब्ल्यू भी था। सबने अपनी राय दी है। हमारी प्लानिंग कमीशन की सईदा जी भी थी, तो सबने अपनी राय दी है। मैं इस वक्त राय इसलिए बनाने की नहीं रखती हूँ कि उसको सबको कंसोलिडेट करना है ठीक तरह से कि क्या हमारा फॉरवर्ड एक्शन होगा।
At Headlines today, we have been bringing you the protests and the promises that have erupted ever since this gruesome incident took place. We continue to speak up for justice for this young fighter of a girl. For more updates on our continuing coverage, you can also log on to www.headlinestoday.in.
And we're going to stay with this story for as long as it takes. We're not shifting away from this story just because there are other stories that we have to report to you. Vijay Kao, Headlines Today's reporter, has been right outside the Safdarjung Hospital, and I can tell you that he's been there from 4 o'clock this morning. We've been covering politics. Vijay Kao has been there since 4 o'clock this morning, getting every single bit of an update as far as what has happened to that girl, the 23-year-old who was gang raped. She's being treated. Her health is still very precarious, but there are some good signs, Vijay, that have been coming out today. Apparently her vital parameters are within acceptable limits. She underwent a surgery yesterday, and we also understand that she's fully conscious and alert right now.
Yes, Shiv, a lot of positives coming out of this whole story. Now, the doctors are saying that the girl is completely alert and consciousness has never been an issue. Only yesterday, soon after her surgery, and which is understandable, she was under the influence of morphine, anesthesia, and because of which she was slightly drowsy. But this morning, she's back to her levels of consciousness. She's trying to communicate with her family. She cannot speak because she's got tubes in her mouth, but she's writing and trying to communicate with her family. That's what the sources are telling us. She's completely aware of what's happening. She's been asking her family whether or not those responsible for this have been arrested. She knows that the media is behind her. The media is trying to help her out. So complete consciousness and alertness in the victim, despite the brutality that has been meted out to her. Now, as far as her medical condition is concerned, the doctors have clearly stated that whatever had to be done, whether any emergency surgeries or elective surgeries like they are calling it, have all been carried out. Now, the most important part is how her body and her system reacts to these surgeries, and how for how long can she remain in this stable condition. Now, the doctors are very clearly saying that as of now she is stable, and like Shiv pointed out, her vital parameters are within acceptable limits. At this stage, medically, this is the least that the doctors want. What is going to happen after that is not their concern at the moment. They are saying that if they are able to keep her in this condition in a stable manner for the next 7 to 8 days, they would feel that their operations have been successful. Only after that they will contemplate further surgeries. Now, what the doctors are saying, that the only impending danger that they have is of septicemia, which they are trying to fight with antibiotics and intravenous fluids. Back to you, Shiv and Padmaja.
All right, Vijay, just hang in there for another minute. Let's also get a word in from my colleague Ruchika Tomar, who's been tracking the reactions that we are getting from across the country. A delegation went to meet the Chief Minister as well as the Prime Minister today. Ruchika, what are you hearing about the outcome of these meetings?
Well, as far as those meetings go, we know that the Prime Minister had expressed his anguish and distress over the incident when a delegation of about 15 women MPs had gone to meet the Prime Minister. In fact, this is an issue that is also going to be taken up during the next cabinet meet, as has been assured by the Prime Minister to those women MPs. I just want to quickly take our viewers through the online outrage that we're still witnessing over the incident since 3 days, in fact. There are a lot of people who are, of course, saying prayers for this brave girl, as doctors came out with the latest bulletin talking about how she's alert, conscious and stable. They haven't seen a brave survivor as her. But at the same time, many still questioning the action or the inaction on the part of government. We have seen seething rallies and protests, people demanding various sort of things. Yesterday, holding candlelight vigils, holding placards and going to, various protest sites. So we are seeing a lot of online outrage today as well. Most of the people actually talking about how the brave survivor is actually recovering. The entire process also being questioned here. We've seen the government's reaction so far in the case. The online outrage, in fact, reflects how the issue has today been completely hijacked by the poll results that have come out. Many, in fact, questioning media organizations as well as to what they are doing, where is their focus on the story. But we at Headlines today, of course, are continuing the latest on this. As we know, 2 men, 2 accused in the case, are still absconding. They're on the run. Delhi police, of course, had to return empty-handed from Aurangabad yesterday. So one thing is for sure, people seeking a change and people not willing to wait for that change to come.
Absolutely, and we're going to keep up the pressure right here. Don't think that this story will be forgotten and all the politicians will get away with their empty promises. Ruchika, stay with us for a moment. Another very important development today, a test identification parade will be held in Tihar jail, where one of the 4 accused is going to be produced before the male friend of the gang rape victim, who is likely to identify Mukesh, the only accused arrested who's agreed to such a test identification parade.
But this is, of course, only one of the 4 arrested. Mukesh, who was driving the bus, and he is the brother of Ram Singh, who is the prime accused, is agreed to this test identification parade. The accused have been remanded, as you know, to 5-day police custody, and the police also plan to charge the accused, as we got to know today, with attempt to murder along with rape. One of the accused, Pavan, had told the court yesterday that he should be hanged, but refused a similar test identification parade. So a very short while from now, that test identification parade is going to happen. Ankit Tyagi is with me live for a quick update on this. Ankit, just take us through what's going to happen at this test identification parade and explain for the benefit of our viewers why it is only Mukesh who is participating in this.
the boy who was also beaten up badly, he has been brought inside the Tihar jail, where after the judicial custody yesterday, Mukesh had said that he would like to undergo this test identification parade. The process has started. If I can quickly tell you how it is done, there will be about 10 men, 9 men in fact, along with the accused Mukesh of the same build. They will be presented, they will be brought in one room, and the victim's friend, he will be brought with a judicial magistrate, and then he will be asked to identify if he can positively identify Mukesh. Then this will be a very concrete evidence in this case. More or so in the rape cases, if the victim or the key witness identifies the accused, then it is admissible as a very strong evidence, almost putting the death nail in this in the case against the accused. All the other accused, the other three, those who have been arrested by the police, Vinay, Pawan, and the main accused Ram Singh, have refused test identification parade. This will also this may be taken as a cognizance against them when the proceedings in the case start. Although the defense can come ahead and say that because there was so much of media pressure, somebody might have leaked their picture, and that is why this identification parade has no use. But theoretically, this is a very strong evidence if positively identified in the TIP.
All right, Ankit, just stay on with us. Very important steps in this entire investigation, because all the evidence needs to be pieced together to build a strong case against these 6 men who raped this girl in the most brutal fashion. Coming back to Ruchika now. Ruchika, especially on the social media, we've seen the kind of outrage that has been pouring out over the last 48 hours. There have been several demands, some people asking for capital punishment. As one of these accused gets ready for a test identification parade, take us through some of those reactions.
All right, we're going to just get Ruchika back in a moment. Very violent things being said, actually, Padmaja. I was just looking at Twitter and some comments right now. You know, you can't really discount the kind of emotion, the kind of emotive anger that you're seeing right across the country. So even while Padmaja and I have been taking calls from viewers right across the country, and we're going to open our phone lines also in just a while from now for our viewers, we've been getting some violent, advice about what needs to be done to these people. Obviously, we're not going to, be party to playing those out for you, but all we want to say is we empathize because people are angry. The gory details of what really happened to that 23-year-old who is at Safdarjung Hospital are unprecedented. And therefore, it really is a reflection of just how desperately sad and angry so many millions of people across the country really are.
In fact, Ruchika, what happened to this young girl in Delhi has touched a chord with not just women, but people across the country. And they have been venting some of that anger, some of that frustration, and some of their own experiences on several social media platforms. Have you seen any such reactions on the various social media platforms?
Well, like I was saying, Padmaja and Shiv, people in fact are questioning the media as well, because since morning there's been carpet coverage of the 2 assembly elections, considering Gujarat election is really, really important. Many of them in fact questioning what exactly is it that the media is doing right now, why are they not reporting on the story. As you mentioned to our viewers, that headlines today has been at it right from the time the story first was reported, which is why we have reporters who've been covering not just the medical bulletins, the health condition of the gang rape survivor, but also what really the police action has been so far. As we've been talking about various protests that have taken place across the country over the issue, we are seeing how people are in fact questioning and are wondering what can really come out of this outrage. What are we going to see come out of, many people now hitting the streets demanding justice? Because we know people have been talking about various things. People have in fact been talking about how there should be chemical castration, how in fact the activists in India are demanding death penalty for rape in response to this recent attack, this latest attack which we have reported. So considering all of that, the debate still rages on as far as the online medium is concerned. What remains to be seen is what could actually come out of this protest? Will this also dissipate away like several campaigns we have seen, or will we actually see some sort of action? And what is it that the action, what is the sort of action that we can actually see come out from the government side, the response that we've seen from the police's side, where they say they can't actually police every nook and cranny, so there is a bigger societal problem that also needs to be addressed.